Hey everybody, it's Adam Brush. I'm here with JC and the IHP staff. Episode 7 of JC Unplugged. Like always, we got a mentorship going on. We got a group from Argentina.
We have Gustavo and Diego from Argentina, and they're having a great time here. Of course, they're learning mentorships 1 and 2. So I'm teaching for 6, 7, 8 hours every day, but they're also seeing some great cases. We had a bad sciatica case that came in, and we're starting to find things that the person can do, and it's starting to look a little bit better. We had a bad lower back that came in, we're tackling that. We had Nick Del Popolo, judo Olympian. He just left here in pieces. We have Sullivan Barrera, big 174-pound HBO type top 10 boxer. And they're going to see him today at 5, so they're getting a very rich experience, as does everybody who comes for the mentorship. So it's rocking. If you want to know more about the mentorships, definitely visit ihpfit.com, hit info, and ask us, and we'll let you know when the next one's being held.
All right, let's dive into the questions. Episode 7. Okay, I know you're not a sports psychiatrist, but we deal a lot with psychological issues with a lot of the top athletes that we train. So from a sports psychology standpoint, what's your approach, or if you think there's a best approach when dealing with an athlete who just suffered a big loss?
Yeah, I mean, especially like Vitor Belfort, he suffered a big loss. He was in the best shape of his life. I think it was the best camp that I ever had. And he goes to UFC, what is it, 199, right?
198.
199?
198.
198, and just froze. I mean, 4 minutes, 25 seconds, the bout gets stopped because he's getting mauled by Jacare, and he doesn't throw 1 punch and 1 kick in 4 minutes and 25 seconds. So what do you say to a guy like that, you know? Well, it took a little while for him to get in here, and he asked me, he said, "Coach, what do you think happened to me?" A lot of things could happen. But we get those situations all the time. Nick Del Popolo right now kind of was doing the car push. He had a great car push last time, and this time it just got the best of him. So that's a loss. That's a loss. It's not a competition loss, but it's a disappointment. It's a loss. It's all dealing with losses. The foundational story is the loss came to you so you could have an opportunity to learn a lesson. The best lessons come through losses. The best lessons come through loss. So you can see the loss as a defeat, or you can see the loss as this happened to me for me to learn something, for me to evolve. What is the lesson? If you see it as a loss and you have shame and you beat yourself to death for the rest of your life, with that shame you've learned nothing. You will repeat that. It may not be in the sport, but you will repeat that somewhere in life. So the way that I approach all the athletes with a disappointing moment, whether it's, oh, I didn't get my 1 RM, oh, I couldn't finish the truck, why couldn't I finish it now? I finished it last time, I'm getting worse. That kind of stuff. Oh, I should have beaten this guy, I should have performed better, and I didn't. Why? First thing you got to tell them is relax. Relax. It's done. Now, why did it happen? What is there to learn in it? Do I train different? Do I approach it different? Did I quit before I should have quit? Am I giving into my old story that doesn't serve me anymore? Because a lot of times losses come because your old self comes and sabotages you. And whatever happens, it injects doubt into your mind, okay? And once that happens, you're done. So what happens? The past came back to haunt you. Your old story. You can get in great shape. You're like, okay, I've got legs till the cows come home, and that's happened to us too. And all of a sudden, things get really difficult. You get hit. All of a sudden, you're tired, and stress comes in, and boom, you let your guard down, and the old guy comes to yaps at you and says, your legs are going to get tired. You better pace yourself. Your legs are going to get tired. And all of a sudden, you start fighting with tired legs when your legs are not tired. That's your old self talking to you. So when you have a loss, it's always disappointment like that, it's always your old self-talking. So what is the lesson? The lesson is this old story came. Okay? What's the old story? Why did it come? Accept it and move on forward. Okay? Accept that that is your old story, that that's not fact. That's some shit you invented, that you created, and that it cost you a disappointing moment. So you have to reset think of you now, in shape, whole. This thing here, this is my old self coming back to sabotage me. It's not going to happen anymore because I allowed it, I can disallow it. So that's the key thing. It's your old self. It came for a reason. The happening happened for a reason. What is the lesson? And it's usually associated with some old pattern coming back to sabotage you. Okay? You have to say, okay, that old pattern exists. It comes back to sabotage me. These are the triggers. There's the lesson. Every time I feel that trigger, I know this thing is going to come. I'm aware of it. I'm not going to let it get the best of me. That's it.
Who's the judo player, Nick? Is that his name?
Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you said to him outside earlier, but I had to walk to my car for something, and Nick was struggling with the truck, and you just got out of your car and just stopped him. Stopped him cold. I don't know what you said to him, but I know it was stern and it was meaningful because when you got back in your truck, his whole approach to that truck push changed inside of 60 seconds.
Yeah, and what happens? What happens to an Olympic lifter that misses a lift? Goes back, you got 2 minutes to follow your own lift. 2 minutes. You got 1 minute in between lifts, you got 2 minutes to follow yourself. What happens to a guy who just gets obliterated, can't even get there, goes back, resets, comes back, and boom, perfection. Something happens. He didn't grow bigger legs, he didn't grow bigger technique, no, something happened. Okay? You know what happens all the time? He gets into the moment. And that's what I was talking to him about. Get into the moment. Get in here now. Okay? That, it's already past. Why are you suffering? Just breathe. You know? Breathe. Right? And you have to teach him this is your little guy. This is the guy that comes and sabotages you and makes you not go hard and makes you get tired. That's the guy. You got to accept the guy. You got to look at the guy. You got to know the guy. So when the guy comes in, you don't let him drive the car. Okay? That little guy, he can't see the road. He goes like this. Every time he drives a car, it crashes everywhere. It's never a good outcome. So when your little ego person comes in, you sit him on your shoulder, all right? You let him look at the road, have fun, and you give him cotton candy and popcorn, but you don't let him drive the car. Okay? So I told Nick, okay, this is just an emotion. It's like a taste of chocolate. It goes away in 30 seconds. Done. So just breathe. Don't breathe. You're here. You're here. Just breathe. Posture. Winning posture. You're in control. Done. And he just went like this, and he tackled the car now. Okay?
All right. Question 2. Is it necessary, I might need some elaboration on this, Jared, is it necessary to train fast twitch movements to increase a runner's gait? And this is more so for like endurance athletes. I mean, I know from a fast twitch standpoint, we do a ton of super legs.
All right. The whole thing is fast twitch, this twitch, that twitch. I don't worry about twitches, okay? I don't worry about white muscles, red muscles, fast twitch, big motor neuron, small motor. None of that matters. Why? Because if you need to run faster, you run faster. You need power. You can't perform a jump with slow twitch. So if you're jumping, you're doing fast twitch training. Okay? So my whole thing is, when I'm looking at a runner's gait, I look at it from a mechanical standpoint. I don't get into this whole physiology because then you get into all kinds of confusion. Look, here's the gait. Okay? Right foot, left foot, here's your total gait. Right? Boom. Total gait. Alright. So, first thing we do is, we want to increase this total distance. Let's go easy first. We do the evaluation. Anterior reach, right leg, anterior reach, left leg. Single leg squat, right leg, single leg squat, left leg. They're all going to have one dominant. Let's say that the right leg and left, let's say that the right leg is, it's got a short, let's say 3.5. And this is 4.5, left leg. And your total is 8 feet. That's your stride. Before I even go to fast twitch, back twitch, left twitch, blue twitch, I don't care none of that. We're going to do anterior reaches, we're going to do single leg squats. Why? The anterior reaches and the single leg bridges take care of the horizontal component of locomotion, the hip projection. The single leg versions of the stuff that we do, the single leg squatting that we do, takes care of the vertical component. So when you're running, you got to attenuate gravity and then you got to drive forward. 2 components, vertical and horizontal. We got our favorite exercises for the vertical, which is all your single leg leg press and single leg stuff. And we have the horizontal components with your anterior reaches and your bridges. Right off the bat, if we start doing 10 and 10, I don't care who's strong, who's weak, this one is going to improve more than that one because it's the weaker one. This one, yeah, you might get 4.75 because it's so strong and you're doing anterior reaches and your left leg is laughing at you. Okay, but this one ain't laughing. This one you get 2, you got to put the other foot down, you got 3, you got to put the other foot. This one's working. So this one's going to go really from here to about 425. You're always going to have a disparity because you're right side dominant, left side dominant, okay? So look at what happens. Boom, 4, 9. So right off the bat, I haven't even looked at Twitch, I haven't done plyometrics, I haven't done anything crazy. I've already increased 1 foot on every cycle. 5K, you're looking at a minute. Easy. So I'm improving locomotion, I'm preventing hamstring injuries, I'm preventing lower back issues, I'm doing all these wonderful things with the posterior chain and all that, and I haven't even looked at fast twitching. Now, on top of that, okay, this is just from the functional stuff. On top of that, you start doing some strength, whether it be your squat, your complex training squat to jumps, all right, squat to sprints, the Kaiser runner to sprint, and then this can go to maybe, I don't know, maybe you can go to 9.5 or 10 from your original here. And that's the way to increase stride length. Now, you can do bounding, you can do power skips, you can do all the SAQ stuff we have. That's further. That helps it even more, that supplements it even more. So I wouldn't worry about the fast twitch, you know. When you're doing boxing, you're working fast twitch. And what if you're not? It's helping you run, so who cares? You do the movement that you need and let the body figure out what twitch it wants to use. It's always going to use what it needs to use. So don't worry about, oh, am I working on the ATP system, the glycolytic system, the fatty acid oxidation system? Who cares? Those things are all running at the same time anyways. So you work a little bit here and it's predominant. You work a little bit here, this one's funneling over here, this one's funneling over here. And it's a constant like melee, man. This thing never stops. So this is the way you need to look at stride length. Easy. And everything else we do, just it's going to complement that. But that's the foundation.
That's good. All right, question number 3. When we're dealing with abdominal issues like such as a hernia, what are some of the best ways to train the core?
What type of hernia? If it's an umbilical hernia or a diastasis recti type of hernia down the linea alba, it's quite different than if we have a hernia down here near the inguinal ligament where there's actually a little protrusion through the.
It's the lower.
It's the lower one, like these here. I would say key thing is pain, because if it hurts, that means it's protruding. That means it's pushing out. If it doesn't hurt, then you're good. Here's the problem with hernias. If you're doing core training by definition will increase inter-abdominal pressure. That's how it stabilizes the spine. When you increase inter-abdominal pressure, right? If we have a membrane like this with a little hole, okay, and then we have, you know, your spine here, right? When these muscles go this way, and here are your intestinal contents right here, and here's your spinal column, right? Here's your diaphragm, and here is the pelvic floor. All right, no matter where this is, in your case you're talking about, in the case that you guys are talking about, it's down here. Let's say your belly button is here, right? When this goes this way, this is going to want to go. So when you push this in, which these muscles are in charge of, all right, whatever's here is going to extrude out like Play-Doh, and those little, you know, how you extrude the Play-Doh out of those patterns, right? It's going to. So you run into problems. The easiest, the best exercise that I know to strengthen the abdominal wall without doing this too much are your static rotations. The 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Any type of rotation really, really fires this without compressing this. This, for example, in the squat. When your thigh goes up this way, remember, all of this gets pushed up. When you come down and your thigh goes up, the mechanical aspect of that tissue variance pushes all this stuff up. Your diaphragm is Remember, when it contracts, it comes down. So this stuff here, that's where your belly protrudes when you're doing squats. You know? So I would say you have to stay away from the low rollouts. You have to stay away from the leg raises. You have to stay away. The rollouts are deadly. Sometimes you're hanging knee tucks and hanging leg lifts. They'll bust that thing out too.
What about high to low chops?
Yeah,
Low
what
to
is
high
it?
chops.
Low to high chops may help you, yeah. Anything that has to do with rotation, once you bring in the transverse plane and you're not so much in the sagittal plane, you're in a much better position. And ultimately, depends, because if you're here, when I'm bringing this way, okay, this internal oblique is going to come this way, here, and pull. When it pulls, depending on where that hernia is and how it's oriented, it may hurt.
He swears the 10 and 2s make it work, but he's very adamant about working his core, so I'm just trying to like...
Rotational stuff, plants may be okay. May be okay. As soon as you lengthen the lever arm on the plants and it turns into a rollout, you're looking at huge.
What about just some isometric stuff? Just holding, not even doing a 10 and 2, just holding
Yeah,
it down.
anything rotational, you're better off.
Without the dynamic.
Yeah, I can get him to do that, but he refuses to do that.
You also, if it's down there, crunching may also do something positive. You bring in the legs, all right, and then just work the upper abdominals.
Thank you.
Okay, last question, speaking of isometrics. I have heard you talk about isometric training in the past to work around joint pain.
Mm-hmm.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Number one, understand that now the more I'm looking at the whole strengthening continuum at the very, very basic foundation, I'm starting to see that isometrics is the atom to matter. The atom to matter is the isometric to movement. It is the basic element. Why? Stretching, it's an isometric. Isometric is an isometric. If you move really slow, you're almost miniature isometrics, okay? Isometrics also make you very strong and have plus or minus a 5 to 10 degree carry. So when we're dealing with how do I use stretching, how do I use massage, pressure, biofoam rolling, all of that, that's all isometric tension, because all muscle is tension. Am I in tension or not? And if you press, it's tension. If you stretch, it's tension. If you contract in a move, it's tension. So all of it is based on isometric, on tension without moving or changing length. So, knowing that, okay, you can train around loads, okay, by understanding that stretching is a load, massage is a load. And you can train around ranges that are painful, such as tendonitis. When I was working with the bartenders and I started doing 3 times 10, that would hurt me. And I was really, really hurting a lot, and I needed to shoot this video, so I had to get in really good shape. So I started doing isometrics here where I wouldn't hurt, and then isometrics here where I wouldn't hurt, and then here it would hurt, and I bypassed it, and I would do isometrics. From the isometrics, I went to the pumps. And then I would bypass here, and when I bypassed, I wouldn't go here. I would put my feet in a box, go here, and then reset. So I never aggravated the itis. And I stayed with isometrics above and below where it hurt. Boom. Not only does it allow you to heal the tissue, you get super strong. All of a sudden, you come back and you can do 20 pull-ups and you go, how did that happen? I didn't do pull-up 1. Didn't do pull-up 1, and I can do 20 pull-ups before maybe 15 or 16 more minutes. Isometrics, I'm telling you, at the top and the bottom of the range, especially at the top of the range here, you know, if you can do isometrics, you're going to be great and you're going to alleviate a lot of itis.
Interesting. All right, guys, that's it for episode 7. We want to hear from you. Send me your questions to Adam@IHPFit. We'll see you in a couple of weeks with episode 8.